Hi, Professor. I'm going to be reading off of a thing that I have in front of me to make it easier for myself to gather my thoughts. I consider mental health a very important part of my life. Recently, my priorities have shifted from a material standpoint to taking care of myself mentally, physically, and emotionally. I think when you take care of yourself, you're able to show up for others. When people show up for each other, they create a community and a circle they can depend on, which in turn helps people grow as individuals and as a society. Having a circle that's willing to show up for you is very important, and creating community, especially during these times, is truly essential. Throughout my education, every report card pickup became a familiar and uncomfortable experience. Like clockwork, my teachers would tell me, "Your kid is very smart and nice, but he talks too much and distracts the other kids." My mom would glance at me, awkwardly laughing, just as confused as I was. I didn't know why my natural talkativeness was perceived as a disruption. To me, it was a form of participation and engagement. Looking back now, I recognize that my behavior was framed within a system that penalized students who were active participants. These active students are often the ones who create change because they're proactive and help build that critical thinking mindset. My academic depended on masking parts of myself, toning down my energy, minimizing my queerness, and silencing my emotional expressiveness just to avoid punishment and exclusion at the cost of my active participation. These earlier experiences shaped my educational journey and helped me realize how power imbalances around gender, sexuality, race, and neurodivergence are constructed within classroom environments. When a condition like ADHD, which I only recently discovered I had in my junior year of college, goes unnoticed, undiagnosed, untreated, or inadequately treated, it can deeply impact the student's learning. We need to reframe our responses from the very beginning, starting with education, so we can reproduce active thinking. Education shouldn't prepare students to be robots, but rather critical thinkers, active participants in their daily lives. For so long, I was diagnosed and untreated for something I didn't even know about until it started affecting me in various ways and spilling over from my academics into my daily life. That's why I believe mental health and every component of it should be taught in schools as a general course. Students need to learn about mental health to ensure they're fully equipped with knowledge to take action in their own journeys. We should be open with students and not penalize them when we see symptoms manifest. Instead, we should adopt a reform way of teaching that nurtures students' identities and encourages them to become active participants, taking charge of their personal growth regardless of their differences. When we do this, we empower students to take action in their academics, social lives, and a sense of self which builds autonomy and critical thinking. To change the narrative around mental health and wellness in society, people need to be informed about mental health conditions and the way they appear. Mental health education should go beyond awareness and focus on understanding and recognizing how mental health shows up differently in each person and how external factors like poverty, racism, or gender expectations can shape those experiences. We should educate communities about harm reduction and develop citywide harm reduction response teams to prevent situations from escalating into unnecessary fatalities, especially in cases where people in crisis are often met with punishment instead of care. We also need to remove the stigma of surrounding medication for those who need it, while ensuring that we aren't over-medicating people. Access to medication and therapy should be seen as a form of care, not shame. Mental health shouldn't be treated as an individual failure or weakness, but as a shared social responsibility that requires understanding, compassion, and resources. When we normalize conversations about mental health and provide the tools to support people from classrooms to city systems, we move closer to building a society rooted in collective care rather than isolation. Overall, we need to move away from an individualistic approach to mental health and instead build community around it. When you build community centered on mental health, you find people who understand you, share experiences, and exchange ideas on how to manage and grow together. Thank you.